Avalara proudly sponsors this podcast series about accountants by accountants and featuring some of the best thought leaders in the industry. Thank you to our sponsor, Avalara. Avalara's award-winning tax automation solutions help accounting practitioners and businesses of all sizes simplify sales tax compliance with real-time rates, automated returns filing, and more. Learn more at avalara.com. Hey everyone, this is Lorilyn, and you're listening to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly Accounting Podcast. More accountants than ever are experimenting and shaping our profession in new and interesting ways. On this show, I sit down with these rock stars to discuss the ideas, the opportunities, the struggles, and the strategies that they're taking advantage of so the rest of us can do the same. Accountants can earn free CPE credit from listening to this podcast. Just download the Earmark CPE app in the App Store or visit earmarkcpe.com. Hello, everyone. I am Lorilyn Wilson. I am your host of the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly Accounting Podcast. Today, we have guest Peter Wen, who is co-founder of Tallyfor. Now, he is the first guest I've had on the show who's actually on the software side. So he's a former, though, recovering CPA. So he's been in the industry long enough to know that it needs help. And so he decided to help by starting a software company, which is awesome. So it is a platform for tax prep automation. So Peter, just tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we want to automate the drudgery parts of producing a tax return, and maybe give a couple hours back to all the professionals, because we know how hard it is, meeting all those deadlines.
And we're recording, so it is September 19th right now. So I just got done with the September 15th filing deadline, and drudgery is the best word to describe it. And then it's like, as soon as it stops, now we have another deadline. I have another deadline. And I took 3 days off, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, no, I think there should be a rule that everyone gets a week off after every deadline, and then you can maybe pick a deadline every week, and then you're basically off all the time. So, and let the robots do the work.
Yes. And I did just get an email from Intuit, like one of their, because I use Pro Connect. So they just sent me an email this morning that's like, get ready for tax season. And I'm like, no, I want to cover my ears. I'm like, no, we're still in it. Please don't send these out. So who's ever in charge of their marketing on that, please stop doing that. So one thing that we were talking about before the show started that we wanted to touch on was a current event, because this is being released in kind of real time, was the Figma acquisition. So Peter, you're on the software side. Give us your take on it. Like, explain what it is, because some listeners might not know what it is. So
Yeah. In the tech world, right, there's a lot of new tools coming out for different professionals. So Figma, what Figma is, it's a design tool for designers to help, bring their products to life and their ideas to life. And it's a completely cloud-based product. So Adobe bought that, announced that they are purchasing Figma for, I think the number is like 20 billion or something around there. So what that really shows you is that a cloud product, right, is superior to a desktop product, even in something as advanced as, a design. So what Tallyfor is doing is a little bit, what our vision of is bringing the cloud tax world over to all you in a similar way that Figma brought, cloud design to Adobe. So I like to say Figma is to Adobe as Tallyfor is to Intuit. That's kind of the tools that we're building for you all.
Nice. Okay, so let's take a step back, because I cheated. I went and listened to the podcast you did with Scott of Sons of CPA, but they've rebranded to Accounting High, and that was released it was recorded in 2021, and it was released in January of 2022. Because it was funny, you guys were talking about like ZeroCon and all sorts of things in it, but in that, they talked about how you were originally a Japanese history major, and then you transitioned. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah. So my background is a little varied. I came to become a CPA a little bit later in my career, and I did spend some time in graduate school, and I studied Japanese history. So I did not a numbers kind of study for a while.
Now, okay, so I'm the same way. I came to accounting later as well. My original major was political science, and I took that because it was the easiest major I could take because I was a softball player in college. So, okay, so when though you'd made that decision, I'm going to be in accounting. Had you taken an accounting course yet?
Uh, Actually, you know what? I don't think I did. I took a finance class and math class, obviously, but no, I actually did not have an accounting class.
I was the same. I was just like, this is my future. This is what I'm doing. So, okay, so I'd heard in that other interview you did with Send the CPA/accounting high that part of the reason you decided to go into it was kind of the steadiness of the industry. Now I have to ask, what was the time frame of this? Like what year was it?
Oh yeah, great question. So I went to school in Chicago, moved out here. I'm an East Coaster originally. I've been moving across the country steadily.
Hmm.
Well, and I moved out to San Francisco. I think it was 90, it was in 95, 96. So, I'm dating myself here. Uh, but yeah, I took some accounting classes when I first moved here, and that's how I got hooked.
Oh, okay. And then too, if I'm remembering correctly, were you working with when you then like kind of officially entered the industry, were you with a nonprofit or am I recalling that correctly?
Yeah, I did nonprofit accounting out here in the Bay Area. There's a lot of nonprofits that need really good accounting. So I did audit and I did audit tax for all different kind of firms, including nonprofits. But that was one way I started learning accounting.
Okay. And then again, I keep referring to this other
Yeah,
interview, but
you're
then
gonna
you
have to watch it.
I know. Yeah, go listen to that other interview too. But then in 2012 was when you said you decided to join Zero, and part of that was because you went to a hackathon with
Yeah.
your brother, who's co-founder with you of Tallyfor. And how, so when you made that decision, like, okay, I'm jumping from the accounting to kind of the tech side of it, how long had you been in the accounting industry at that point?
Yeah, I think I was in for about 10 years. So I did my time of a good decade of, tick, tie, calculate, and, reconcile this, that, audits, tax, everything, financial prep, financial statements preparation. And then a hackathon, I like to say back then was the fight club of talent, right? The programmers are the guys with a lot of the right that innovate, right, the new products in the cloud. And a hackathon was a place where you could socialize with people you didn't know, right? And what you would do is you go there, and it's usually hosted by a company, and you go and you have an idea and you find like other people that can help you, right? Maybe you need a front end person, a back end person, maybe you need a domain expert, and you actually build a product in a very short period of time, or a prototype, within that hackathon, which can be a day, or maybe it's over a weekend. So I went to this hackathon with my brother. He is a software engineer. So he said, "Hey, this is fun. Come do it." And what happened was I went and I met some early Zero folk. Well, no, excuse me. I met people from New Zealand, and they told me that Zero was coming to the U.S. back in 2012. So that's why I was like, "Oh, no way!" I kind of knew about Zero from doing research on accounting software, and I was like, "Oh, that sounds fun." And they're hiring, so I applied for a job, and that's how I got started with Zero, and then left accounting.
Okay, so it was 2012 when you did that. So was this position like this is what is kind of the early days of remote work? Was this a remote job for you?
No, it actually wasn't. They actually opened office in San Francisco at a incubator. So they did have an office. So I did get to go in and work with that early team. That was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what exactly was your position there?
Yeah. I was the first CPA hire in the U.S. And then with kind of my strength in understanding product, I was basically helping specify the U.S. features for Zero US as they entered the U.S. market way back then.
Oh, wow. And so how long were you at Zero for?
Yeah, I was there, I think 6 years or so, and, yeah, we moved to we went from, there was 10 of us at first, and, who knows how many when I finally left in 2018. Yeah, we had the Denver office and everything, so it was a really great growth story, and it was really fun to bring a cloud product to the profession and really change people, change how people work.
Now, okay, so pretty much after did you leave Zero to start Tallyfor? Was that kind of
Uh, yes, yes, I did because tax is a special thing for the U.S. Right, tax is a little bit complicated in the U.S. I think other countries have a little bit easier life of tax. So I saw the need for the tax side of the house, right, the professionals to have a better cloud tool. And that's why I left and started Tele4.
Now, was it when you at some point you approached your brother and was like, "Hey, I have this idea for a software company. You want to do this?" And he was just like, "Yep, let's do this." Or how did that come about?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. He was like, "How do you spell tax?" Or "Isn't tax a dirty word? Why should I be doing this?" um, so yeah, for a non-expert in tax, tax is a little maybe run from tax. So it did take a little convincing that this is a need that certain professionals need. And after a little cajoling, we had over Thanksgiving, we had a prototype in place, and our early kind of prospects loved it so much. We're like, hey, let's go full on this.
So that initial prototype, was that just built by you and your brother? Did you have any outside engineers? How'd you get from zero to one?
Yes, no, I did a little coding myself. I've learned a little bit from all those hackathons, but obviously my brother's the architect of all of it. Yeah, so it started out with us, just the two of us, and now we have a team of about 10 individuals across the globe working on this wonderful product.
Avalara helps businesses of all sizes get indirect tax compliance right. Their sales tax solutions help you manage sales and use tax complexities while lessening risk for your business and clients. Whether you're a small business or a global enterprise, Avalara can help you deliver tax compliance services confidently and efficiently. Over 30,000 organizations across the globe use Avalara's cloud-based compliance solutions to solve transaction tax compliance needs, including sales and use, VAT, and other direct and indirect taxes. So how did you find your first beta testers? Who were these first people to try it out? What softwares were they in? Like, tell
Yeah,
me.
my
Yeah.
guin my guinea pigs. Thank you all, my guinea pigs. Yeah, building software is not easy, right? And we want to listen to the customer, right? That's something I think Zero did quite well, and that was part of my job at Zero. But really understanding, not just from my understanding of how my colleagues work, it's really to understand the nitty gritty of how they work, so that we can make the best product. Um, yeah, so my guinea pigs, obviously, I went to, a lot of my network from my days you know, at Zero and said, "Hey, you want to try this out?" So there was Jay Kimmelman was one of the first, of course,
Yeah.
and then a bunch of others. And yeah, they told me what was good, what was bad, and we improved on that.
Did that initial prototype launch in, what year did that initial prototype launch?
Yeah, 2019 and 20 was kind of the ideation phase, and then we've been in market for 2 seasons now.
So how did COVID kind of affect this? Was there a quicker adoption because people are like, "Oh crap, we
Yeah.
need cloud," or tell me about that period of time in your company?
Yeah, yes, obviously COVID shook up everybody. I think it shook up the accounting and tax world even more because I think they're a little bit lagging in terms of work from home. So it was a wake up call, right? For, hey, how can we work from home? What are the tools we need? What are the softwares we need? So it was very beneficial for Tallyfor to have a cloud product for the tax professional. So that did help us in 2020 and 21.
Nice. Okay. So we've kind of talked like broad, like Tallyfor does these things, but I want to talk more at like the granular level of what Tallyfor actually does. And so give me your elevator pitch. Like if I'm a CPA, you meet me at an accounting conference and I'm like, "Oh, you work for Tallyfor. What's Tallyfor?"
Yeah, so Tallyfor is a ledger in the cloud, and we've picked the ledger to automate the different processes. So it's a jumping off point of automating the tax side of the house. right? Bookkeeping, client accounting services has their cloud tools, right? They have Xero, QuickBooks Online, the practice management tools. But the tax side of the house have been kind of left behind, right? Tax tech is less sexy than accounting tech, and it's less sexy than fintech, I guess, right? So if there's a hierarchy, the tax guys and gals have they're last in some ways. So we are building from that ledger as a jumping off point, a way to automate income tax filings for business returns and eventually for tax planning on the individual level as well. So I like to say we're a tax advisory platform. Um, but that's where we're starting with that rote automation for the data.
And so, like, if I were to walk through, and we'll just talk on the business side first, and we'll talk to the individual
Yeah.
side, because those are two different
Yes.
beasts, kind of.
Yes.
So so functionally, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is my understanding of how it works. Have my client's data in
Yep.
QBO, all right, all their books. And there's a direct link integration, correct, between the accounting software and Tallyfor.
Yes.
So I'm sure is there some type of mapping that takes place as I'm exporting it from the accounting software to Tallyfor?
Yeah, that's exactly the flow. It's very simple. We import from all the accounting packages into it, QuickBooks Desktop as well, Excel, real estate, general ledgers, intact, kind of going up to bigger GLs as well. We want to be a neutral importer of all different kind of accounting data. And then, yes, there's mapping. There's really fun tools. We can help you map it. Drag and drop is coming soon. You can kind of, basically reorder your chart of accounts for the tax return. But we also have some magic, meaning templating. We can actually do it automatically for the accounting data. We can either do it as a template or, of course, as a roll forward, meaning we'll roll forward a prior something else to be done. So we take all that manual drudgery. Maybe you've been doing in Excel, or maybe you've been doing it in a desktop product, and we've now kind of cracked it open to be neutral and a vendor agnostic, and that allows professionals to be on one platform and they can bring any data. They don't have to turn away a customer because their data is a little bit different. And then we start to memorize and automate that.
Okay. And then so I import my data, and then within that, I can do kind of those AGEs, correct?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yes, journal entries as well. Journal entries, and then make your what I call the tax view, and then get that over to the return.
Because here's a question. Does it support M1s?
Yes, of course. Of course, M1s is one of the key. The M1 adjustments are one of the reasons there's books attack, right? So that is exactly what we help track.
So here's another question, because I'm of course thinking like functionally what's going
Sure.
on. When I'm doing the journal entries or AGEs, are those automatically pushing back into QBO, or is that something that then I have to take that and manually enter it in
Um,
the accounting software?
yeah, currently we don't push back. That is a feature that is on the roadmap that we do want to make it easier for you to push data back to both to the accounting systems.
And then does Tallyfor do consolidations? That's a big
Uh,
one.
Yeah, we don't yet, and that is also something that I want to solve. I was actually a consolidation accountant for a good number of years, so I understand the challenges of that. And our approach is that we have the bones for that, but that will be coming later.
Now, what is Tallyfor replacing, in the sense that people who've come on to Tallyfor, what were they using prior and how much time were they spending?
Yeah, so they might have been using Excel, doing pivot tables or hand keying stuff in. They also might have been using something like CCH engagement, Thomson Reuters engagement, some of those right work papers, products that are associated with that tax product. So what Tallyfor has done is we've taken that one component and we've moved that to the cloud. And we've done that. We chose to do that because that's the strategic jumping off point, what I call for automation, right? We don't want to look at all the transactional data. That's what the bookkeeping's for. We want to take it from the trial balance and then automate from there. And then I can talk about how the different directions we're going from there. But those were typically the products that our early users are looking to replace and augment.
Yeah. So when I started in 2013 and I was on CCH engagement, and the time it would take to do the export, AGEs, hand
Yeah.
type it in. So an average business return, this would be like a simple one, was 6 hours.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I, full disclosure, use QBO Pro Connect now, but I mean, QBO has Prep for Taxes, which is essentially what you built,
Yes.
like, with that push. But being able to have it in the cloud, not have to do these exports, these imports, and then being able to do this automatic push, that average time went down to like 1 to 2 hours.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to say something crazy that maybe you may not believe me, but I actually think you can get it down to 5 minutes. Um, because why not, right? What is taking you that extra hour? Yes, maybe there's some thought in those journal entries, but typically a business, the structure and challenges are the same year over year. So that's where that memorization and roll forward is so key in Tallyfor. I'm not saying, right, if you have those reasons for 2 hours, but our goal is to automate it such that it becomes in the minutes, so that you can actually accelerate your whole practice.
Yeah. Now that you said that, I'm like, why does it take an hour? I'm like, fixed assets.
Mhm.
That's kidding. Cause I mean, can you automate this? Cause you have to get all those new fixed assets into the schedule, and then you have to do the depreciation schedule. And then from that, you're doing the AGE. So that can be time intensive.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, obviously there's different components to every kind of tax return. So I think for the simple ones, 2 to 5 minutes is what I've heard some of our customers saying. I actually didn't believe one of my customers saying I could do it in 2 minutes. I'm like, no way. I won't say that. I won't say that in my marketing, um, but yes, every component, again, maybe taking a step back, right? It's all data. It should be automatic. The computers should know all of this. So I think the challenge here is they're disparate products, right? Your fixed asset product might be coming from the tax products. So as we kind of bring all the components into a cloud-based system, I think even the complicated returns will get faster.
How does, on just the business side, how do you account for, because I have some like partnerships and the really naughty S Corps who have rental real estate holdings. Are you able to do like a buy property import into there?
Yes, we're making it better. We can do it kind of under the hood. We are making the multiple property import. Yeah, beautiful. That's also something that people spend way too much time on.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. Like to the point where I will not work with real estate investors
really.
anymore.
That's unfortunate. But no, see, that's the right. We don't want you, a professional, to kind of have to say, "Hey, this one's harder. I want to turn away a client." Right? The technology should make it smooth so that you can actually say, "Hey, I want this client because it's one I can specialize in." So we want to flip that script in your head and for you to accept those clients.
Yeah. Yes. I would love that. Did you know that 52% of accounting practitioners, large and small, still rely on spreadsheets and manual processes for sales tax compliance? Why not move your accounting practice to the 21st century using Avalara for Accountants? The Avalara for Accountants automation platform helps accounting service providers of any size grow their service offerings with sales tax prep and filing, transfer pricing, research, business license management, and more. Scale your practice efficiently with award-winning automation that brings efficiency and accuracy to sales tax compliance. Want to learn more? Email accountants@avalara.com or visit avalara.com. Okay, so then here, like just on the technical side, how does the import, because okay, we have the information in Tallyfor, it's correct, we're ready to put it in the tax return. How does that like export upload process, does that just vary from software to software, or is it the same? Is it a CSV? What is it? How's
Uh,
the data moving?
Yeah, it varies by product. So, and that's a little bit of the work that we've done is to kind of standardize, how it gets looked, how standardize basically that process. So user of Tallyfor, they don't have to think about it. So we've solved that for getting it into the format that's needed.
So I use ProConnect. How does it get over?
Yes, ProConnect. Unfortunately, it's a very embarrassing to say, right? ProConnect is a cloud product. And right now, we just have a report for the ProConnect users. But we do have many ProConnect users that are still finding time saved and organizing the data into that. And if you all want to make noise over at Intuit, we are looking for them to open up an API. So please make noise.
Do you think they will? Like, why have they not? Are they just being selfish?
Uh, um, I don't have any insights as to why or why not. All I know is that I want it, and I know my customers want it. So, building technology is hard. So maybe there's a reason that I don't know about.
Okay, awesome. So I want to now talk about the value add for individual returns. So what can Tallyfor do for like, because let's say I'm a 1040 shop. Let's say I don't do any
Right.
business returns. I'm just strictly 1040s. How will Tallyfor help me with those?
Um, so we announced a tax planning product for the 1040, and what that is a way to estimate your taxes. And being a cloud connected product, now you can estimate your taxes with live data wherever it comes from. So maybe it's coming from right other income from a real estate investment, or maybe it's coming from a 1099, and maybe you have an app for 1099, right? Estimating that income. So we'll now aggregate that over into a 1040 and then give you a really beautiful tool to estimate that tax for your client. So you can sit down with them maybe quarterly and say, hey, this is
Mhm.
what your tax is looking like. And we have some really nice tools on how to visualize and communicate that to your customers.
Does that mean pretty charts and graphs?
More than that, not just charts and graph. We've innovated what we call Tally Flow, and it's
Ooh.
a map of how your tax comes to be.
Is this just at the federal level or does it go down to states?
I can tell you're a CPA. They, um, yes, we will do the states. Obviously, the federal is the first one, first most important one off the boat. But yes, the state calculations are important for planning, and we do want to be that sophisticated in planning states, as well as cross states, as well as allocation. Um, One of the tools that we are building is what I call to break the K1 logjam.
No one can see my face. My face is just like, what?
Right. So I just made that name up, right? K1 logjam, right? You're always waiting for a K1 from right outside CPA from the accounting world, and that's we've identified that as one of the major, yeah, um, one of the major guys that's clogging up the tax flow, right? Is that dependency on knowing about K1. So what Tallyfor has built is we actually can kind of pregame a K1. So we can actually estimate K1s off of the cloud accounting data and then run it through your allocation table and then actually throw that out to your individuals. So we can actually use that live data to build a better tax planning scenario. And that's just one data point we can do, right? We can pull from Gusto and kind of monitor payroll as it comes through over the year.
Oh, that's super cool. So when is this rolling out? Because I went to your website and it's like coming soon. Put in your information, but
Yeah.
give us a date.
Uh, yes, we hope to have it ready for early next year, but don't quote me on that. As a product guy, I was never supposed to give a date out, but I just did before. So
I'm officially quoting Peter. He said it will for sure be ready January 1st, 2023. So, okay. So for tax planning right now, I use Holistiplan. So would you say would you consider them a competitor or how have you used it at all? Like, do you know how the products would compare?
yeah, I'm familiar with all the tax planning products out there. Yeah, I think we'll give a little bit more advanced kind of live data. We'll give some more visualizations, some more roll ups, that K1 kind of live logjam breaker. Um, so we really want to bring the data to the fore, and then give you the professional way to communicate. Right? I think communication with your clients is a challenge that I've always had as a CPA. Right? clients may not know, they may not want to know the detail that you know in your head. How did it get there? They want to know an actionable thing to take, right? How much do I owe? What should I do to reduce my taxes? Um, so we'll give some more actually easily communicated tools for you to kind of smooth that communication with your clients.
Is this also going to have in it any like suggestions, like, your client owes this much, but we see you didn't, you haven't contributed to retirement or an HSA. Is it's going to have like, hey, have you thought about this? Is it going to go to that level?
Yes, absolutely. So once you have the data, you can kind of suggest, I don't want to say planning strategies, but what can you do to, reduce your tax? That's your job as a professional, is right to guide your clients. So we want to give you a tool to kind of expose that data and talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I've learned is like I've had to humble myself in the sense that like we like to use big fancy words and clients don't care about the big fancy words. They care about data that we can convey to them that they can act upon. And so is there going to be like when you present this information, is it going to be presented in accountant speak or is it going to be presented in client speak?
No, it will be actually a little bit of both, right? There's a complex, right, expert view. So you can know how those numbers are derived with full confidence. And that's what we call our tax map or tally flow. But for the customer, it's almost like Google Maps for the tax code. Just imagine Google Maps, right? You've got a search bar, but then you can zoom in and out of your destination. So we'll let you zoom into a very simple communication for your client. But if you want to zoom out and see how you got there, we'll give you that tool as an expert. So it's a little bit of both.
Oh, that sounds great. Okay, so then what is the largest like firm that is on your platform?
Yeah.
Like in terms of clients, like how many clients do they have?
Actually, well, I kind of gauge a firm by how many partners, are in the firm. And initially, we had the one partner, solo practitioner, 5 partners. We're starting to see the kind of 10 partner level firm kind of pick up our product. So we're around kind of that market size at the moment. We do think we even go further up, full on into the top 20 kind of firms.
Is then because you're working, that's a pretty wide range. Like a solopreneur can have like me,
Yes.
like 50, and the 10 plus partners, that's thousands. So do you get different types of feedback from kind of those different sizes, or are they telling you the same thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think there's a core feature set that everyone needs, right? I think tax, uh, right, work papers. I think how to kind of bring on the supporting documentation of how those numbers were supported. I think the tax world has been relying on audit heavy tools for too long, a little bit of overkill on some of that tax documentation. So there is a core feature set that we've identified. The bigger firms obviously need maybe more integrations with their other products, right? So that's really where you start getting to the enterprise grade level. I think there's really kind of 2 levels of product. One is, up until 20, 30 partners, and then there's a true enterprise level. So it's a little bit different on the big end.
So then, like, kind of the future roadmap for your product, who are you building it for?
Well, yes, it's really for the small, medium, and then the enterprise kind of takes an extra layer of maybe additional sophistication, but it's really for the full kind of CPAs and tax professionals.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay. So when will you feel like your product's complete? Like when would you
Oh,
get
yeah.
to a point? What does it do when you're like, wow, we're just going to maintain now? Or do you think you'll never get
Well,
there?
well, how long does it take you to read the tax code? I guess all of the time. Um,
Every night before I go to bed, I do. That's just like my sleepy time reading.
it's your sleeping pill, right? It puts you to sleep. Um, there's a lot of product to build. I do think that, we'll spend a good couple years to really solidify the core automation. I think we've got that roadmap pretty defined. It depends on, the complexity of that 80/20 rule, right? 80%, if we could hit 80% of the problems that you all are kind of running up against, that'll be where if I can make you happier, you can go to a soccer game and do work from the bleachers instead of having to be in the office. That's where I think is our measure of success is the end customer, you, the CPA, the tax professional. If you feel like you're more flexible in your life, work-life balance, you're getting more work done with less time, I think that's when I can say, we've done something for the profession.
So then for 2023,
Yeah,
big things are, which I think is going to be huge for people, is the tax planning and visualization,
yeah.
because I hate most products. And then is there anything else big coming out in 23?
Uh, yeah, that's a lot to chew off. So I think to bite off and build, but that'll be our core stuff in 2023.
And then what comes after that? What's
Yeah.
next?
Well, I would love all the viewers here to come engage with me. We'd love to hear what you'd like to be built. I do have a very talented team, a technology team here. It's just the start. There's obviously a lot to build. So please find me on LinkedIn, and I'd love to hear what you think is a problem in producing tax returns
I'm
and do
gonna I'm gonna
tax.
make that a tweet and I'm gonna at you and I will see how many responses we get. Awesome. So these next couple of months, are you gonna be at QuickBooks Connect? That's coming up.
Yes, I will be there. We don't have a booth, but I'll be around. So please come find me out on LinkedIn. Let's meet up. And I will be doing also a little bit of Zero Roadshows and a couple other events.
Could I talk you into hosting a wine and cheese get together at QB Connect in Italy?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Awesome. So then I guess my next question is kind of talking about like direction and growth of the company is are you going to be doing any like fundraising soon? Are you self-sufficient? Like how does capitalization look for you guys in
Mark.
terms of growth?
Uh, yeah, we're actually raising funds now. So if you are interested in investing, we are raising our seed round now. So
Ooh, cool. And then too, like kind of circling back to Figma, are you guys ever, if you ever were to do an acquisition, what type of company would you acquire?
well, or that we would require. Well, I don't think we'd acquire. We like to build. I think the technology that we can build today are way more advanced. The cloud moves every 5 years, and the type of technology. So yeah, I'm not looking to buy any. I'm looking for good engineers.
Good engineers. Are you finding them mostly domestically or internationally?
Uh, it's global. Yes, the marketplace obviously global, and it's really nice to have a global team because you get the best talent. And what we've done, just to maybe go in a little bit of a side, is right. Who would want to write tax software, right? I think engineers want to do something fun, cool and fun, but it's really we've game. I don't want to say gamify, right? We've made it as fun as a game to program about because it really is just it's numbers and data. So if you think of a video game, right, that's a bunch of it's a bunch of numbers running around the screen. So tax is not that far off, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. So if you then, my last question, if you being a prior accountant, you did your time, now you're on the fintech side, what would be one piece of advice you would give accountants today as someone kind of outside looking in, but who's been in? Like what are you seeing accountants struggle and spin around with? Like what would you tell them to do?
Yeah, I'm very grateful that I'm an accountant because money and talking about money and value for business is really the core of everything, right? It runs the world. And being able to be conversant and knowledgeable about how that fits into the world and business is extremely important. So I encourage everyone to think like that, right? And maybe accountants don't know how to communicate that, right? Or maybe they're more on the analytical side where they're thinking about it But really, the confidence of what that means, that's why I became a CPA. One of my professors said, hey, the world runs on money, right? And money, if you can communicate how money is counted and how it affects a business, that is a skill that is invaluable. And I found that to be true. Just because I went to software doesn't mean that's not true anymore. So that's why I want to kind of bridge those worlds and build a tool so that you can take that information and even be more of a rock star. So you are a rock star and you can be even more of it with better software.
Yes. Okay. Well, Peter, it was so great having you. Thank you so much for such a great conversation. If people want to find you, you mentioned LinkedIn, like give us, how are all the ways people can connect with you?
Yes, you can find Tallyfor, it's Tallyfor on LinkedIn. You can also find me, Peter Wen, on LinkedIn as well. And we are on the Twitter as well as Tallyfor.
How active are you on the Twitter? Because that's where it goes down.
Well, that and Reddit, right? So text. Yes, we're active there, and we will be more and more so because that's really where a lot of people are talking and finding ideas about tax. So tax Twitter, hashtag tax Twitter.
Yes. And what's your Twitter handle? Is it at Tallyfor?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And just so if you aren't watching the video version of it, it's TALLYFOR. Right? I got that right. I'm like reading it, but double check me.
That is great.
And you can find me, as always, on the tax Twitter at Lorilyn Wilson. Or if you're on TikTok and you want to see what kind of content I put out to small business owners, I'm at the Not Spicy Accountant. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Peter. And thank you, everyone, for listening. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.